Welcome to Her Life Unscripted podcast, inspiring burnt out, stressed out, and stretched thin women to embrace the unscriptedness of life. Hosted by Anna Osborne.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Her Life Unscripted episode 24. I am really happy to be with you all here today and just being able to slow down and connect with you. I think that one of my highlights each week is being able to record these podcast episodes and be able to put them out into the world and also hear back from you guys about what you thought and what you got out of it. And just, gosh, I'm learning so much that it's almost like I feel like my eyes are constantly open to things because you guys are sharing who you are and your journey through the unscriptedness of life. And so it has been amazing. And I'm just, I don't know, it's this like, I don't want to say weird place because it's a good place, but I want to say that the last 3 months have been the least stressed, most calm I've felt in a long time. And I haven't been as great with exercise as I usually am. And so that's something in the last month that I've gotten really back on the bandwagon with. But I can only explain this kind of peace that has been happening, or this calm, through this expression of the podcast. I'm finding that being able to connect with all of you in a really creative way has been very healing for me. And I think healing in ways that I didn't even know that I needed to be healed, if that makes sense. But it's also, I think, been so powerful because I'm learning and connecting with all of you in this very intimate way, even though a lot of ways we might be strangers. So it's unreal. I can't describe to you, and maybe it's just because I'm wearing comfortable clothes lately. I'm just kidding. But I actually have been more mindful. I love to shop and I love fashion. But I've been doing this really cool thing lately where I am really enjoying whatever I'm wearing and having lots of fun with it, but also making sure that it's super comfortable. So maybe I've just been wearing more stretch pants lately. I don't know. But I've just been feeling very peaceful and very calm and in the moment and present. And so I'm just really happy to be sharing that with you. Sorry, that was like the most random sidebar, but I'm excited to be connecting with all of you guys today, and just thank you so much for being on this journey with me. The other day, my husband and I were driving the car. It was probably like 2 months ago, and he said something about the kids and, something about the kids starting kindergarten next fall. And I swear to you, I like spontaneously burst into tears. And this poor man, he looks at me like this look of shock on his face because, it's not like he's super surprised at this point in our relationship because we've been together for so many years that I would, not spontaneously start crying because it's something that happens, but that he's like this look on his face like, oh no, what did I do to cause that? And it was just like overwhelming thinking, oh my gosh, my babies are going to kindergarten and both of them are going at the same time. Like this is going to be a lot, right? So obviously we're well into the fall season and school is well in flow, but I've had lots of friends whose kids have started kindergarten this year. And it just, it's been very kind of emotional of seeing that. And then also knowing that that's happening to me for me next year. But I'm proud to say that I was so courageous this week. I actually went onto the school's website to see what day kindergarten registration is because I know that I have friends told me that they did not know and it snuck up on them. So I went and I actually put it on my calendar for January 5th. So I will not forget or I will not miss. But that was a huge, huge thing because oftentimes it feels like I'm not really okay with time passing by, but I'm trying to be okay with it needing to pass. And so it's kind of this concept of, I don't really want time to pass, right? Like I'm enjoying where I'm at, but I want to be okay with it needing to pass because that's part of life, right? And as much as, where I'm at and things are busy and everything, feels like it takes a lot of work, I also feel like I'm in my flow with a lot of things. And so it's this kind of uneasiness or this apprehension that comes with going, oh my gosh, time is passing, but also how can I really be okay with it so that I don't become fearful or try and cling onto something that really is growing and changing right in front of me. You guys know that I love Glenn Melton and that I'm a huge fan of her and her work with Momastery. And for those of you guys that don't know her, I'll include info in the show notes about her. I'm actually going to see her speak live next week. I'm so excited. So I'll definitely do a show on that. But I'm just a huge fan of her. And I don't know if it was in one of her books or one of her blogs, but she shared about this idea that was super, super cool for me. And I want to kind of share it with you guys, that it isn't about that when time is passing, I think everybody's always telling us like, be intentional with your time and be in the moment. And I don't think that that's a really realistic expectation because, it's hard to be in the moment, right? And so she talks about this idea that we're not placing this expectation on ourselves that we need to be present in every moment, right? Because Lord help us, there are some moments we don't want to be present in, and there also sometimes life is so busy around us, we can't be present in any moment and every moment. And that is this unrealistic expectation. But what she talked about is that when we find ourselves in a moment, find a way to enjoy it. And I thought, I can do that, right? Like that's a totally realistic expectation. So when we find ourselves being present in a moment, sit back, right? Take it all in. Look to see what's happening around you, like soak in the smells and the what your eyes see and what your ears hear and what your mouth tastes like. Take it all in so you can be in that moment present and kind of buried away as this amazing memory, but don't have this expectation that you're going to be present in every moment. And so that's really what I'm trying to practice with myself is that time is flying by, right? Whether I like it or not. And in order for me to be more okay with it needing to pass is being able to be very intentional with the moments I find myself in. And I just love Glennon Melton for sharing that because it's something that I just so connect with. But I started thinking about this idea of this kind of dichotomy that happens with time passing, right? Because sometimes we want time to slow down, right? When we went to Pismo Beach this past summer with the family and another family that we vacation with, and I think I shared that with you guys. But it was one of those vacations where every single thing was perfect. Like there is nothing I would change about that vacation because it just had this like slowness to it that just the time seemed to pass so slowly and everybody was just kind of vibing. We just went with the flow and things just happened. And sure, there was some bumps and a few tantrums and those sorts of things because traveling with small kids, that's what happens. But it was just this really cool, slowed down energy. And in those moments, it was like, oh, I don't want time to pass, right? Like I don't want to pack up the car and go home because this feels so cool to be able to just be in this moment experiencing with all of you, right? But then the flip side of that, this kind of other side of this dichotomy, is that sometimes time is going by way too fast, right? Where it's like we look up and all of a sudden it's the countdown to the holidays or, we're well into summer. And so sometimes it's like, holy smokes, like time is moving way too fast, right? And I think that we sometimes can get locked in these extremes. And so sometimes like our trip to Pismo Beach, it was amazing that time was moving slow, right? But there's also some times with young kids or, other times in our life where I'm like, oh my gosh, time is moving slow. Get me out of the stage. You know what I mean? Like get me out of the teething or get me out of the, the tantrums, except I don't know if that's a stage that ever ends. Hopefully it does. Some of you that have older kids, reach out to me, let me know. But I think that, sometimes time is moving so slow and we want to hurry it away. And then sometimes time is moving so fast, we want to just slow it down. So thinking about that, it's being able to figure out how do we manage when time is going too slow and how do we manage when time is going too fast? And I think that for me, when time is going too slow, right, when it's being just like things feel like they're dragging or I'm losing perspective that this is a stage or something that just needs to be kind of muddled through before sense can be made of it, that when those things are happening, the best ways that I'm able to manage it is to be able to create touchstones. And I've talked about that in earlier episodes, but I remember my older sister saying one time that the worst thing about a stage when you're in it is that you feel like it's never going to end, when really it's just a stage. And that was so helpful to me to hear because that happens. I mean, I think that's just true in many areas of life, that there are so many stages we go through. And if we can know that they really are a stage and it's not a permanent situation, that can really help. And so being able to create touchstones around that is so important. I shared with you guys some of the ways that I do that through, changing my wallpaper on my phone to be able to have some sort of perspective or inspirational quote, some piece of scripture or just words of affirmation, being able to change the passwords on my phone or my computer as ways of reminders about this stage, that when time is going so slow and we just want to move past what we're in, is to be able to create touchstones so that we have perspective in it rather than just wishing it away and kind of closing our eyes. And that is really, really helpful for me. The other is that when time is going too fast, right? That it's like, how do we manage things that are just flying by? And I feel like I'm missing so much. That's one that I think is something that comes up for me because it comes up with a lot of mixed feelings, right? I feel like I'm missing so much, or time is moving so fast, and there can be some grief involved with that, of these stages are moving so quickly, I'm not even enjoying them, or I don't know how to enjoy them because they're happening so fast. And that's really where I utilize that quote from Glennon Melton, or that idea she had of being able to find moments that I'm present in, and using those as ways to create these almost like these snapshots or these visual memories to tuck away and just file away for later. And it's so funny because I had one of those moments the other night. We were sitting down for dinner and having family dinner, which, my family loves to do. We try to do it a couple times a week because oftentimes I work nights. So it makes it a little bit tougher to be able to do that. But at least, 2-3 nights a week, be able to have a family dinner together. And just looking across the table at my big kids, right, who are just using their best manners and still fumbling around with the fork and trying to use a napkin instead of a sleeve and those sorts of things. And just this like snapshot in my mind of, wow, they're getting big and look what they're doing. But look at all that they're like changing into, these kids with personalities and ways of thinking and opinions and storytelling, and just being able to be really present in that moment. And it was really, really beautiful to be able to do that. And also to be able to slow down and kind of recognize like, yeah, this is one of those moments, right? This is one of those moments where I can be present, even though it feels like everything around me is moving really quickly. So that's kind of this balance of being able to, find both aspects within it so that we don't, that we can actually have just like a healthier relationship with time, right? Because time is moving whether we like it or not. And the healthier that we can have a relationship with time, I think the more that we can feel like we're moving along with it rather than it's got to grabbed a hold of us and it's whipping us around. And so I think this idea of having a relationship with time is something that's really, really important. That's just a really, really cool thing, and not fighting against it. I think the other thing too is that oftentimes we're really critical of time, thinking about trying to move towards a healthy relationship with time, is being able to not criticize it so much. I think when it comes to healing or changing or growing, that it takes time to do that. I don't know about all of you, but I would assume that you guys are very similar to me, that change just takes time. And when we have things that we're working towards or working on, it takes much longer than we kind of anticipated. And then when it comes to healing, it also is something that it is such a process to get to and to be on. And I think that oftentimes, it's almost this like calling it a process is this like really cruel and unusual comment, even though that's not how we mean it. It's just because it is, right? That we are on this path. And so thinking about time and our relationship with time, I feel like the less critical we can be of it and the more accepting we can be that it's happening, we actually move along on it a lot more peacefully. I think anytime that we have anytime we're in opposition with something, right? We're fighting against it, or it's so much more difficult rather than just to join in it. I think about, Finding Nemo, right? When they're kind of like swimming against the current. And I think it's the turtles, the sea turtles that are like, just go with the flow, right? Quit fighting against it. And that's what I think about with time, is the more that we're trying to swim upstream and act like it's not happening, or that we have some way to control it, the more we're going to feel like we're just fighting against or pushing up against something that is really, really difficult to do. And so I think the less critical we can be of time, and the less critical we can be of ourselves as we're moving along time, right? Knowing that healing and changing and growth and that loss and grief and all those things, they take time and it's a process. And that if we can just find peace in the movement of it, no matter how quickly or how slowly it's happening, that we can actually have some really powerful things happen. So that's kind of my biggest goal right now, is to be able to find a more friendly relationship with time, a more healthy relationship with time, and this acceptance that it needs to happen and that it doesn't need to be something that's scary, but also maybe something that I can even learn to embrace. I'll let you know how that goes as I continue moving on it. But I want to hear about you guys. What is your relationship with time? Have you ever sat down and kind of explored it? I think one thing that I've learned in my work with folks is that oftentimes they are so impatient for things to happen that they don't realize that they're actually attacking time and they're not respecting its need to be there. That sometimes it needs to be there to help us heal. It needs to be there to help us grow, to change. And that the more we fight against it, it's actually, we're getting in our own way, like they say. And so I would love to hear from you guys. What is your relationship with time, and how are you really developing a stronger sense of connection with it? Or even if it's something you have ever thought about. I know for me, being able to really sit back and think about it, it's actually been quite eye-opening to realize how much I'm sometimes in conflict with time, or sometimes how much I'm taking it for granted. I think one thing that I, especially with a household and a business and all those sorts of things, is that struggle with being able to put too many things on the plate and not realize there's not enough time for them. And so it makes me show up more frantically, not on time, or a little bit late, those sorts of things. Where if I remove some of these things and I stop cramming everything into time and really allowing it to be something that I'm in relationship with rather than, fighting against, that I actually, having less things to be focused on doing, I actually find that I'm more productive, because the places I'm placing my energy are actually things that bring more fulfilling uses of my time. And so whether that's connecting for others, slowing down and recording this podcast to be able to connect with you guys, just the things that I'm doing, I'm much more intentional about. So I want to hear from you guys. What is your relationship with time, right? Is it a healthy one? Is it an unhealthy one? Are you like, Nemo's dad, I can't remember his name. Are you swimming upstream, or are you like those super cool sea turtles that's just going with the flow and finding ways to embrace it? So please share, utilize the SpeakPipe app, and let me know. And also, obviously, you can send your feedback in also via email to Anna@HerLifeUnscripted. I'm loving what you guys are sharing, and I just am truly, truly grateful to be learning so much from you and just allowing this time of peace to be kind of more present in my life. It's been really quite amazing. So thank you all. And I encourage you guys to head over to the website right now, since the episode is almost over, herlifeunscripted.com, click on the retreats tab and fill out the box at the bottom of the page, because we have some amazing live events coming up in the spring. And I want to make sure that you guys get that information. And if I don't have your email address, I have no idea how to get you that information. And if it feels too complicated to fill out that, just send me an email, Anna@herlifeunscripted.com, or on the SpeakPipe app, just give me your contact info and I'll add you to the list myself. I'm happy to do that. So thank you so much for letting me into your hearts and into your worlds and just being able to slow down and connect with you guys. And I encourage all of you to explore your relationship with time and really find ways to be present in the moments when you find them, rather than trying to be present in every single moment. Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate you.
Want to learn about the latest retreats, workshops, and speaking events hosted by Anna? Head over to herlifeunscripted.com to get in on all the juicy details. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast so we can continue to grow our amazing audience. Lastly, be sure and send in your voice feedback via the SpeakPipe app or to Anna@herlifeunscripted.com. We can't wait to hear from you.